Are you thinking about doing a pipe replacement in your basement or adding a bathroom? And this is the image that comes to mind. Well, what started out as a simple project just requiring the stack of pipes right there, that's the vent, coming down, cast iron from 1960, an original install, and a few new pipes going over here, one for a toilet over there, and then we figured we'd tie in about here. Nope, these were all bad. So let me show you some tips on how to do this without having to pay someone the $8,000 I was quoted just to extract this pipe. Okay, first, this concrete is not that thick. So you have about, 4 inches of concrete. So it's really easy to actually break through this. This is a pretty big job. This house is 3,200 square feet with a 1,600 square foot basement. So a typical house would probably not need something like this, but this is not typical. So what we found when we came in here was this. The pipe was cracked on the top, and so it was so fragile that happened after. But a lot of these first few lengths of 4-foot cast iron pipe had this huge gaping crack. That's a 1/4 inch at least. So you might be wondering, what tools do I need to start? First of all, you're going to need a skill saw and one of these. This is a cheap $15 blade I got from Home Depot. They have some that are $40, but honestly, I don't really know what the difference in cost is for because they look practically the same. They're a little bit thicker on this side, but I only need to go about 4 inches. So this will get me at least through where I need to be. And also another good tip is a chipper. I think Home Depot sells a 22-pound, I think it's called a chipping hammer. It's made for medium duty masonry driveways, stuff like that. What you do is you get your skill saw. This is my Makita, just regular skill saw. And it's full of concrete sludge because I have been using it for that purpose. This is an old blade. It's probably getting close to worn out, but I got 2 of these blades for 30 versus 1 blade for 40. This is the other thing I was talking about. This is a chipping hammer as well. You need to have one of these, and what you do is you'll see how clean these lines are here. So you'll take your skill saw and have a spray bottle, just on full blast, a stream, and I also have a bottle of water next to that, so I can kind of splash on it as I need to. But you put your skill saw with the diamond blade on it about maybe an inch or 2. I would start with an inch. That way you can just score the top of it and put a nice little line for kind of where you need to open up initially. You want to open up maybe a 1x1 square, maybe 1x2, where the pipe is or where you think it is, because you got to start. The hardest part is starting, but once you actually break out and chip out a layer and you can get to the dirt and get to the pipe, which is a lot more deeper over here than it is over where we started, what you do is you excavate below this concrete. You can see that we've done that all the way over here, and as you dig underneath, the rocks start falling out, and then you can almost take a sledgehammer and just knock it and it will break. It's not very strong if it doesn't have support underneath. So what we did is for speed, we were starting in a section, cut. Actually, we started here on this length, cut out this whole section, chip, scraped it out, chip, scraped it out, and then as soon as we could get our hands underneath, we could just take our claw like a gardening tool and pull out rocks, chip, and then pretty soon we got to the point where we could scoop out a whole bunch, and this happened in a matter of 45 minutes to an hour. So this is, each length of these from nub to nub is 4 feet, so that's 4 feet. That's 8 feet, and that's a little bit less than that. That's a short section for some reason. So this is about 10 to 12 feet right here. And this didn't take any time at all once we opened it up. So we were chasing this sewer pipe because we kept finding broken pipes. And it could have happened to where we didn't see the crack and it was just this crappy pipe. Well, let me show you a little sound test. Versus, see the difference? How much hollower the other one sounds? Because that's thin as paper, and this is good solid pipe. This one's cracked, as you can see there. Hear that? I mean, that's broken right there. And you can see all those flakes too. All those flakes in there is corrosion. And all those flakes they will peel away from the pipe from the inside. And if someone uses those forsaken flushable wipes, they'll snag, and everything else that comes down the pipe after it will clog inside here. And these cracks could do the same thing, but a lot of these were on the top, which was really weird. Usually they're on the bottom where corrosion happens, where stuff kind of sits. But this house was mostly vacant over the last 20 years. And not being used as much, which is actually worse than if it was being continually used, flushing all the stuff out of the pipe rather than it sitting and corroding inside the pipe. Now, it may vary where you live, but code for plumbing is different in different places, but universal plumbing code in the United States is pretty clear. Some municipalities might go a little further than what code applies, or what code requires, rather. But in this instance, we're upgrading the pipe in certain spots from 3 inches to 4 inches because we can only have an 1/8 inch of fall in some spots. But this is pretty much a done job. Once we get the pipe cut, we'll probably cut it right there. There's only a little bit more before it goes out to what used to be the drain field, which you put in a macerator pump. And if you're not sure what those are, is that little plastic thing right there with the 2 cleanouts. That is basically a turd blender. It blends up all the junk, all the milkshake, and pumps it towards the city, because we have a sloping hill that comes up and goes over here towards the front. That was installed because the drain field back there, the septic system, failed. When I was buying this house, it was a requirement to sell. So connecting to the city was not something they could escape, and not something I wanted to buy anyway. Anyhow, back to what I was saying about the pipes. So it has to be bedded in clean bedding, which is pea gravel, small rocks. You can't use this to lay this on top of because it's jagged. And if it's ABS, which is the plastic piping we all use now, which doesn't corrode like this stuff, and stuff slides right through, the thought is that it could puncture the pipe, it could get damaged, so they want clean bedding underneath, but this can be under that. So this is going to have to be cut and excavated a little bit more, the new pipe laid on after it's been placed appropriately, and we can backfill some of this, but we won't be able to use it underneath. So that's my tips for being able to do all of this job easier. I had a plumbing estimate, I had a concrete removal estimate just for that little section out there and the little arm that comes off of $5,000. Just to remove this, that, and all of that, which is like another maybe 8 feet, 10 feet. So this little section here was a $5,000 estimate just to remove the concrete, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous up to here. When we discovered the pipe was rotten, after I said no thank you on the $5,000 estimate, said I will do this myself. I'm glad that I did it myself, because that would have turned into much more, and I would be crying right now. Anyhow, those are my tips. Hope this was helpful. Give me a thumbs up if so, and happy home improving.